Excelsior! This is the second episode of Comic Book Raw, where in this show I just read the comic with not much editing. The Comic Power Hour is the one with all the editing and sound effects and that. But for today, I'm going to read the other stories from Marvel Comics #1. Several years ago, I read the first 3 stories of Marvel Comics #1, Human Torch, Namor, and Angel. If you'd like me to redo those videos because they weren't very good and the scans were very low quality, just let me know in the comments if you want me to redo them. But these are more obscure even more obscure characters. The most notable of them is Kazar, which was like a Tarzan type character and later appeared in the X-Men comic in the 1960s. He was reinvented by Stan Lee in the 60s. The first story is called The Masked Raider. The Masked Raider. Kal Brundar, powerful ruler of Cactusville, is attempting to force all of the smaller ranchers to sell out to him. At his own price, Brundar sent his gunmen to call on Jim Gardley.
Now you get back and tell Brundar I'm not selling out. Phew.
Unseen by Gardley, one of Brundar's men sneaks up behind him.
Up with him, Gardley. Brundar ain't gonna like what you did.
All right, Slick. Let's take him back to town.
And don't try to make no getaway. It ain't healthy.
Someday, Slick, people are gonna run your corrupt gang out of the country. Brundar can't keep bulldozing the little ranchers much longer.
Why don't you get wise to yourself? We could use a man like you in our outfit.
Gardley is brought before Brundar, who is the real power in Cactusville.
He liked to kill bands with busy on the jaw. He said he wouldn't sell nothing either.
All right, Slick, you talk to the other ranchers. I'll handle friend Gardley alone.
Brundar soon realizes that Gardley is unafraid of his threats.
No use wasting any words on you. Now I'll give some medicine that will in time change your mind.
Brundar sends for the sheriff.
What's on for mine, Carl? Gardley, what are you tied up for? Sheriff, my boys caught Gardley red-handed, rustling my stock.
Gardley is put in jail to await trial on a trumped-up charge of rustling.
Gosh almighty, kid. What made you steal cattle? You had a good story, but now look at you.
But, Steve... Gardley has plenty of time to think things over.
Poor sheriff. I guess he doesn't like his job any too much these days. Boy, I'm in a bad spot. It's time someone did something about the Brundar gang. And I'm beginning to get ideas. Yes, sir, it might work. I'm young and strong. I'll try it. Hey, Sheriff. I heard you. What do you want? Homesick already? Hurry, Steve. I'm dying. Oh, I can't stand this. Oh, my stomach. Steve, I'm coming. You can't take on like this, and you can't die just 'cause you gotta go on trial. Lean closer. I'm dying. I want to confess.
As the sheriff bends a little closer, a fist crashes into his chin.
Sorry, Steve, but I just couldn't stay. I'll also need your gun.
Locking up the sheriff, Gardley steps outside. The street is quite deserted.
This is luck. I'll borrow one of those horses and shake loose from this town.
Gardley heads for the hills. Safe, for the moment, Gardley makes a camp in the hills.
Now, old boy, you present somewhat of a problem. I hate to let you go, old boy, but you'll be a dead giveaway.
Then, one night, Gardley, under cover of darkness, raids his own ranch for supplies. The days of his disappearance become weeks.
At last my draw's fast and smooth, and of late I have missed any shots. Now I must get a top-notch horse somewhere.
One day, Gardley discovers a magnificent wild horse.
Boy, he sure is a beauty. He'll fill the bill perfectly.
In spite of Gardley's efforts, the horse remains free. Then one day,
doggone! He's caught himself!
Then came days of the utmost patience. Gradually, Jim won the friendship of the horse he called Lightning.
Now, fellow, the fun is gonna start.
Lightning is saddled, and Gardley climbs aboard his mount, prepared for the worst. Lightning breaks into a run, and Gardley is the master.
People are going to hear a lot about us from now on, Lightning.
Jubilant over Lightning's abilities, Gardley makes ready to adopt a new role, that of the Masked Rider.
I, Jim Gardley, hereby make a solemn vow to forever fight the lawless, bring justice to the oppressed, and help the poor. To this end, I, the Masked Raider, dedicate my life to this oath. Slick round the boys, burn the black's pace. When they see that I mean business, they won't act so very tough.
I don't care if Rowdy has 5 aces. The game's over. We're riding.
All right.
Slick and Brunder's gunslingers set out for the Bleck's ranch. But Bleck, a small rancher, sees them first.
Don't you fellas come no closer.
A bullet removes Bleck from their path.
This done. Looks like Mrs. Bleck didn't make it.
News of the burning of the Bleck ranch spread like wildfire.
But killing and burning, that's going too far. Shut up. What right have you to think? If you ask me, I bet people are gonna get ready and do a bit of selling out.
The desperate ranchers at last decide to try and find a solution to their problem.
We better do something about Brunder. I head south. You get the ranchers north of here. I win me in Lloyd's bond at 8 tomorrow. You bet we'll be there. It's time we had a meeting.
Lorden, a wise and respected man, is chosen to speak to the worried ranchers.
As much as I hate to admit defeat, I say Sal, we don't want no more killings.
He's right.
I'm sticking. You're free to decide for yourselves. But tomorrow, I'm a sellin'. Lorden's right.
Back in town, Brunder hears of their decision.
Ho, ho, ho. I knew they'd see it that way. Hey, Slick, call Brunder. It's Rowdy, boss. What the? This was pinned to Wildy's back. He's shot up bad. Brunder, you and your gang must pay for all your crimes. I'm starting to collect.
The Masked Raider. Meanwhile, over at the sheriff's office, an unexpected caller arrives.
Now, how do you stand on the subject of cleaning up this town, Sheriff? Who are you? You're masked. It will mean that you will have to openly oppose Brunder. I'm with you, stranger. I'm through crawling at him. I'll take my chances and put the teeth back in the law, yes, sir.
Outside,
Huh? So that's the way the wind blows. I can get 'em both. The double-crossing sheriff.
just as the eavesdropper decides to shoot the two unsuspecting men, a crony arrives.
Just a minute, pal. Let me in on the fun.
But the Masked Raider, hearing their voices, goes out the rear door.
Well, you fellas are in for a treat. Phew! All right, Sheriff, put these two away. I'll start to round up the rest of the Brunder gang. Slick, do you walk to jail? Or will I have to drag you? You're masked!
The loud voice of Slick brings the remainder of Brunder's gang to his aid, but the townsmen rush to the aid of the Masked Raider.
Get going, Hoth! It's too hot here! Ah, so Brunder is trying to run out. Not if I can help it. Come on, Lightning. Let's get him.
The Masked Raider's rope snags Brunder and jerks him from his horse.
What the? There you are, men. The Brunder gang is no more. Brunder's finished, but will the masked man tackle the bigger game?
The end. And it's signed by Anders. Jungle Terror, a complete adventure story by Tom Dixon. At the Florida plantation home of Professor Roberts, Ken Masters and Tim Roberts, the professor's nephew, are talking. I tell you, Tim, we shouldn't have let the professor go into that jungle. 3 months have gone by, and we have not heard from him as yet. Just because someone told him that a certain Indian tribe has the diamond possessing hypnotic powers is no reason for him to go alone into the jungle. We've got to find him, Tim. Let's take a look at the map. Yes, here's the spot the prof marked before he left, Tim.
Gee, it sure is a desolate spot, Ken.
I'll say, son. Look, deep in the Amazon jungle. Well, that settles it, Tim. We're leaving the first thing in the morning, Tim, and we're going by air.
Whee! I can't wait till morning, Ken.
But outside the window, a figure listens. And a few minutes later, the figure rushes into the home of John Crafton, owner of the adjoining plantation. "Boss, they're leaving in the morning. I heard Masters tell the kid." "Good. Tell the boys to get ready. We follow." The next morning, Ken and Tim are ready to leave.
Okay, Ken, let's go.
Take a last look at Florida, Tim. We're headed toward the Caribbean.
Ken, there's a plane following us. Say, it looks like it is. That's Crafton's plane. Now I wonder what he's up to.
Hours later,
they're still following us, Ken.
Let 'em come. We're over the jungle, Tim.
Uh-oh, something's wrong. Motor's missing. Hold tight, Tim. We're gonna land in the trees.
Ken climbs from the wrecked plane, carrying Tim with him.
My head. Are you okay, Ken?
Yes, Tim. Take it easy. You'll be all right in a few minutes. But a figure follows Ken and the boy as they make their way through the jungle. Don't be afraid, Tim, but I think we're being followed.
Gosh! Savages!
A moment later, "White man, stop. We take to chief. Come." Meantime, Crafton and his men land in the jungle and set out to find Ken and Tim. "Straight ahead, boys, and step on it."
"I'm keeping my gun handy, boss."
"Here's what we do. We follow Masters and the kid until they find Professor Roberts. Then we wait, and when they get the diamond, we let 'em have it and make our way back to the plane."
"Hey, boss, take it easy. My feet hurt."
"Boss, help! Do something quick!"
"Ah,
I got him, boss!
"Nice work, Mike. But come on, let's get going. We've got to find what happened to Masters and the kid."
"Come on, boss. I'll show these savages who's boss round here."
Suddenly, a whizzing sound pierces the air, and
Oh!
"He's dead, Slug. Must have been a poisoned arrow."
"Don't move, boss. They're all around us. I can see 'em through the bushes."
A moment later, they are surrounded by savages. They're motioning for us to follow 'em.
"We better do as they say, boss. I don't like the way they're looking at us."
The two men are led to the native village. Meanwhile, Ken and Tim are led to the chief's hut.
"I'm okay now, Ken."
"Good, Tim. Take them to the prisoner's hut. We will kill them later." "This is good. We come down here to get your uncle out of a jam, and we get in one ourselves." "In there. Do not try to escape."
"Gosh, Ken, now we'll never find Uncle John."
And as they enter the hut,
"Ken, look! It's Uncle John!"
"Tim, Ken, what are you two doing down here?" "We came after you, Prof. But why are you a prisoner? I thought you knew this tribe." "At first they were friendly, Ken, but when they saw I was after the hypnotic diamond, they threw me in here. But look, I found an opening in this corner. It must lead somewhere. I'll go first, when the coast is clear. Follow me." "Go ahead, Tim. You're next. But take it easy. It might be a big drop."
Uncle John is helping me from below. Come on, Ken.
Shall I let go, Uncle John?
Yes, Tim. Gosh, I had no idea this place was so deep.
A few minutes later, Ken joins them, and the three set out in the darkness.
Hang close, Tim. See anything, Ken?
No. Wait.
Yes, a light. Great Scott, Ken! That light! It's as hot as a furnace! What is it? Wow! You'll see, Prof. Get closer. Diamonds! Man! Diamonds! Not one! Thousands! I think I'll take... Stop!
Don't touch those diamonds. Hands up, all of you.
Look, it's Crafton.
Well, I'll be. It is. How did you get down here, Crafton? If you must know, masters, we landed after you cracked up, and were captured by those savages. They put us in a hut, we escaped into the jungle, and found a cave. This is where it led to. Ha!
Then there is a way out of here.
Sure, but you'll never get to use it. Okay, Slug, fill your pockets and mine. Then we'll run out of here. The savages will take care of these three. But as Slug steps forward to touch the diamonds,
zing! Slug! He's dead! They're coming. We'll be killed. I'm getting out of... Ken! Another arrow! Look out!
and as Crafton falls to the ground, Ken dives for the gun.
Ken! Listen! They're coming down the tunnel!
Run for it, men! I'll hold them off. We've got to find Crafton's plane. It's our only chance.
The coast is clear, Ken. Where do we go now?
Into the jungle, men. We'll have a better chance, and more time to find that plane. Funny. That plane should be around here. We've got to find it, Prof. And mighty quick, too.
There it is! Ken! Uncle John! Quick! I see it! Crafton's plane! Follow me!
Start her up, Prof. I'll hold them off, so we'll have enough room for a takeoff. Right, Ken?
Hop in quick! They're getting closer, Ken! Whew! We just made it, Ken.
Yes, Tim. But our trip was a failure. Thousands of diamonds, and we didn't even get one.
That's what you think, Ken. Look, I managed to grab one during all that confusion. Isn't it a beaut?
Say, that's great work, Prof. Burning Rubber, a short story about the auto racetracks by Raymond Gill. The crowd roared. With laughter, Bill Williams knew what they were laughing at. His coveted blue bird. Compared to the other cars in the race, the blue bird did look a bit shabby. But one thing was certain. There weren't any better mechanics or drivers than Bill and his able mechanic, Fred Turner. Everything's ship-shape, Bill. You know, I feel kind of sorry for those other mugs. I'd hate to lose a race, so I spent a lot of dough on a 2-ton chrome-plated model. Fine. Well, I don't know. I'd give a lot to dress my Lady Bird here, up with a lot of new feathers. I don't give a hoot what the crowd thinks myself, but I feel sorry for my laddie's sake. Cut it, fella. I think you did pretty well digging up the entry fee. After all, you spent plenty for parts for your new supercharger. Yep, that's our only hope now. Don't kid yourself that we have any cinch. We have the best drivers in the business here today. What's the matter with you today, Bill? I've never heard you talk like this before. You sound as though you've lost faith in our Blue Bird. No, not on your life. That's one thing I'll never do. I guess it got under my skin a little bit. Those people laughing at her, I mean. That's better. By the way, doesn't Anne ever complain about your spending so much time with your lady here? Yes, she was kidding me the other night. Well, there goes the signal, Bill. Move over. Oh, listen, old man. Let me take it alone this time. I don't know why I want to. Well, humor me this once. Will you? I know I'll feel a lot better if I get out there alone. Sure, Bill. Anything you say. Only be careful. Bill shot ahead with a roar that surprised the smiling crowd that had gathered around to poke fun at the Bluebird. He was hardly topped on the line when the second starting signal was given. There were 8 cars in the race besides the Bluebird. The combined noise of dozens of unmuffled explosions thundered out into an increasing crescendo that thrilled some and annoyed others. To Bill, it was sweet music. The powerful voice of his ladybird. Bill was in his glory. He could feel his whole body grow taut with a passionate desire to go faster, faster, faster. The stiffer his body grew, the harder his foot pressed the accelerator. He was setting the pace, the other cars directly behind him, weaving back and forth. He was at his perfect ease now. He felt that the ladybird was standing still, and the track was some never-ending ribbon that kept unfolding in front of him. He was in a new world, a world all his own. And the girl was literally sitting on the edge of her seat as she watched the blue bird madly rush on in meaningless velocity. Or so it seemed to her. Hello, Anne. Enjoying the race?
Fred, what are you doing up here? Why aren't you in there with Bill?
Whoa, take it easy. He's just a bit moody, I guess. He wants to be alone.
Oh, Fred, I always feel better when you're with him. If it's possible to feel good when he's throwing himself bodily into the face of fate, you shouldn't have let him take it out there alone.
Well, it's too late now to do anything about that. Besides, there's something you can do to help Bill. That's why I came up here.
Yes, Fred. You know I'll do anything for that grease monkey.
That's the idea. Calm down. I don't know what it is that's got everybody keyed up today. We've all gone through these races before together.
Yes, we have, Fred. But somehow I feel that today, it's all got to end. One way or the other.
Anne, you know that we've spent a lot of time working on the Blue Bird these last few months. We always work hard on her before a race. But this time, we've done something more than that. We perfected a new gas feeder. I know Bill wouldn't want me to tell you, but I feel that you have a right to know. Bill is in there right now, risking his life to test it. This test is the final step. If it works, Bill will retire from the track. He told me so. If it fails, well...
Fred, tell me. What if it doesn't work? What will happen? What can a gas feeder do that will possibly crack him up?
Just this. That new feeder is mounted over the engine. It feeds with a combined force of gravity and pressure. If anything should go wrong, if it should spring the smallest leak, that hot motor will blow both him and the Bluebird to kingdom come.
Tell me, quickly, Fred, what can I do that will help?
Well, you and Ruth Clark, the daughter of the big motor magnate, C.G. Clark, are on pretty good terms, aren't you?
Why, yes. Ruth and I went to school together. Why?
Here's why. If you can get Ruth to get you in to see her father, now, before it's too late, we may be able to save the day. And Bill's neck.
What am I supposed to do after I get in?
Here, show him these plans. It's the gas feeder. If you can sell him on the idea of manufacturing it, Bill could be flagged out of the race before that temporary mounting should blow.
It's a deal. Give me those plans. You just watch. He won't make more than one more circle of that track. I'll see to that.
Bill, still madly kicking the gas pedal, was now unconsciously wiping oil off his face. Suddenly, he jerked himself back into stark reality. The oil he's wiping off is thin. Too thin. Gasoline! On the stands, Fred saw the thin shred of smoke trailing the Bluebird. Terror gripping his heart, he called to Anne to hurry. In another moment. But Anne hadn't wasted any time. Fred's nervous, scanning eyes finally located her, down talking to the starter. He also saw the Bluebird, never slowing, round the turn and come rocketing up the straightway in front of the stands. Just as he crossed the line, the checkered flag waved him out of the race. The other cars shot right past him for the final lap. Bill leaped out of the Bluebird and took the situation in at a glance. Of course, just like a woman. Anne became nervous. Couldn't stand a little smoke. So she had him flagged out. She didn't care if she was throwing all of his hard work out of the window. Well, Anne, you did a beautiful job. I couldn't have done it better myself. And you claim you care about me. Why, all you care about is yourself. See here. This young lady just saved your life. A most ungrateful exhibition, young man. A most ungrateful exhibition. Why, Mr. Clark, what's the use? She probably queered that too. At least if she let me finish the race, I'd be in that much. Oh well. Young man, this young lady just explained the fine points of your new gas feeder to me. I'd like to have you drop in my office this afternoon, if you will, and we can come to terms.
What? Why didn't you tell me this before? Wee! Oh, Gan, forgive me. To the devil with this race.
Oh, pardon me, but do you remember me? I'm Fred, your mechanic.
Fred, you old son of a gun. Isn't it wonderful?
It certainly is. The darn thing works. You did manage to gain a whole lap on those birds. They all had to go around an extra lap to compete for second place. The Adventures of Kazar the Great, from the famous character created by Bob Bird. Chaka the gorilla, Czar the lion, Traja the elephant, and Ben Thompson. John Rand, young owner of a rich diamond field in the Transvaal, is flying from Johannesburg to Cairo with his wife and their 3-year-old son David over the heart of the Belgian Congo. The plane develops motor trouble, and Rand is forced to come down in the thick, wild, tropical forest.
Constance! Oh, David! I'm going to land!
The plane dives into the dense Congo jungle.
Constance! David! Are you hurt?
John Rand staggers out of the wreck. Tenderly, he lifts his wife out of the broken plane.
Mummy, hurt? My leg. I think it's broken.
There's a medical kit in the plane. I'll fix you up in a jiffy.
While his mother was recovering, young David quickly made friends with the small jungle animals. Daily, Czar, Lord of the Jungle, watches the strange, 2-legged cub. Another pair of keen eyes watch the boy as he plays near the edge of the small clearing. Najaga, the leopard, could wait no longer.
Look, Daddy!
A warning cry from David's mother brings John Rand with a rifle.
Ah!
One quick shot stops Najaga, and the wounded leopard dashes into the jungle, without harming David.
You hurt him. Now he won't come back.
David has no fear of jungle animals.
Strange. He doesn't seem to be afraid of any beast.
Rand marvels at the boy's lack of instinctive fear. Later, the father's automatic saves David from an emerald green snake. Even then, the boy mourns the passing of a fellow denizen of the wild.
Back, David!
Daddy, he's my friend!
John Rand's announcement that searching planes would soon find them did not cheer David, unhappy with the thought of having to leave his new jungle companions. Days followed, with no sign of rescue, during which time Rand built a safe and comfortable dwelling for his family out of parts of the wrecked plane. Constance recovered rapidly, and David's skin bronzed until, in the remnants of his torn clothing, he resembled a sturdy young savage.
John, I hear a plane!
Water and fuel were within easy reach, and the parents were becoming reconciled to the strange environment. When,
I'll light the signal fire!
in the clearing, smoke rolls high as the drone of the plane grows louder. Rand splashes out into the lake, away from the towering trees, and waves a tarpaulin. Not a sign of land or his plane. No chance of finding them in this jungle.
Turning, the pilot circles to the north without seeing the smoke. With a sinking feeling, Rand and his wife watch the plane disappear.
Pooh! This is a busy highway. There'll be another along soon.
True. The plane came again the next day, and one the day after, but each time it was farther from their lonely camp, until finally they came no more. The day came when Constance lay in the hut, consumed by a raging fever. Soon she died from the ravages of the tropical fever. Rand was heartbroken. Morbidly, he toyed with the idea of ending it all. Life held no meaning for him. His wife's last wish had been that the boy must live. That thought, that conviction, brought Rand back to his senses. Immediately, he began making plans to trek back to civilization. David knew where the sweetest flowers grew for his mother's grave. The heavy rain stopped, and Rand studies the map he carried in the airplane.
It's about 200 miles to the nearest white outpost.
That evening, a terrible storm lashed the jungle. As giant baobab trees plunged and fell, Rand swept young David into his arms and ran for the shelter of a cave. A sizzling bolt of lightning sends a mammoth tree crashing down on their heads. Rand thrusts the lad aside as the falling baobab sends him spinning.
Do we still have to start home soon?
Home?
Quickly the storm passed, and Rand was next conscious of being led back to the hut.
Why, this is home, son. Here in this clearing where your mother is.
I'm glad.
John Rand never recovered mentally from the blow that the falling tree struck him. Though rational in every other respect, he labored under the delusion that the jungle was his home. Together he and David survived and thrived. His beard became a luxuriant growth that Czar might have envied. Some latent impulse had made John Rand teach his son to read and write, but David preferred playing with his friends to even such simple schooling. As David grew older, he liked to roam the forest. He could swim like Niaza the fish, and climb trees with all the agility of Nono the monkey. He knew now why his father had fired at Najaga, and why he killed the green snake. His was the code of the jungle. Kill only when necessary. Soon, he learned to talk to the animals with strange guttural sounds, and from that day he lived a happier life. The jungle lad met Quag, the wild pig, and stayed that beast's startled flight with a friendly call. While swimming in the lake, he was in turn startled by a great beast that rose from the shallows. Walal, the hippopotamus. He had his first view of Traja and longed to ride on that great gray back. Though he did not know it, David had another companion. Czar kept pace with him as he raced through the jungle. A floating speck in the sky brought his eyes upward. He watched Crew, the buzzard, drop towards the earth. Quickly, David ran to where Crew perched in a treetop. The stillness was rent by a blood-curdling roar. Roar! That of Czar, and with a note of fear. For the wise monarch of the jungle had erred. He had made a fatal misstep and lay trapped in the quicksand. Czar was up to his haunches now, and could not hope to gain solid ground. David could see the hopeless light in the lion's amber eyes, and could not resist the forlorn appeal. Desperately, he seized fallen branches and thrust them toward Czar. Inch by inch, Czar drew his tiring body across the tangle of boughs, until, at last, he stood free of the clinging sands. For a few minutes, Czar lay panting in the tall grass, while Shah, his mate, nuzzled close. Czar surveyed the man-cub, and there a strange pact of truce was made.
"I smell smoke."
"Nonsense. We put our fire out before leaving." A week after the rescue of Czar, David and his father were exploring the forest, when...
"There it is!"
Swiftly, they traveled through the trees in the direction of the strange smoke. Peering through the branches, they saw a black man squatting before a fire. A short distance away, 2 other blacks scooped gravel from a stream, watched by a fat white man. Dropping to the ground, Rand stepped into the clearing and walked straight to the group. From their actions, David knew they were arguing, and that his father was commanding them to leave. He also saw his father turn slowly on his heel and start back towards the brush. At that moment, Paul de Craft, with a heart as greasy as the rolls of fat that covered his body, raised his gun and pointed it at Rand's back. Quickly, David fitted an arrow to his bow. John Rand was aware of a sudden humming beside his ear. In de Craft's arm, an arrow quivered, and the automatic revolver dropped to the ground. Chugh! David and his father silently faded into the jungle. But if David could have seen the devils of hate leering out of de Craft's eyes, he would have placed another arrow in the man's throat. "This jungle is sacred to your mother. Remember that, son. No one must be allowed to profane it." That night,
"Emeralds! That's what I stumbled on in this God-forsaken stream. And some half-crazed hermit thinks he can order me from here. Mumbongi, go find his camp and see if there are others."
in a short while, the native returns.
"I saw Nkuzi, the man and the boy, no others. They have no guns."
"Good. That'll make it easier."
At dawn, David watched the other camp from a high rock. It appeared deserted. Had they obeyed his father and fled into the night? Cautiously, David approaches the tent, puzzled that they could have left their possessions behind. He fingered the strange articles around the camp. Fascinated, the boy studies his reflection in a mirror. He decides to return home, to tell his father of the many wonderful things the strangers left behind. A staccato crack pierces the stillness. David remembers faintly the time his father had fired at Najaga, and senses danger. A second shot echoes from the direction of his home, and David waits no longer. The hut is afire. David leaps forward with the thought that his father is inside. An object on the ground caught his eye. Rand, shot and painfully wounded, crawled along the ground. "Father, what happened?" Weakly, Rand mumbles a warning as the boy, with the strength of a grown man, carries his father away from the fire. David fails to see a native sneak around the burning shelter. A sharp spear pricked the middle of his back. Choo! Before he could act, DeCraft came on the run from the jungle. "Fat Face has wounded my father, and for that Fat Face shall die." DeCraft laughed at David's threat. "Spunker, eh? But you're wrong, kid. I don't want any witnesses to this party, and I'm gonna kill you. See?" As David bent to grasp a knife at his father's side, DeCraft's gun whipped up. "Dead men tell no tales." Another spectator watched the grim drama. Czar. Roaring, Czar bursts into the clearing. DeCraft escapes. "That lion will finish the job for me." "Look, Czar has killed 2 of them and driven Fat Face away." "Too late, son. I'm dying." With the death of his father, David was alone in the jungle. At twilight, he lingered in the clearing, where his home was a heap of ashes. Czar sensed the grief of the boy who once saved his life, and with a low guttural call, stepped into the clearing. In the language of the beast, Czar invited the boy to share his cave. He said that from that day on, David would be known as Ka-Zar, brother of Czar the Mighty. And so the strange pair strode off through the jungle, side by side, to begin a new life for the son of John Rand. More adventures of Ka-Zar in the next issue. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys later.